Hey everyone, it's Jonathan. Merry Christmas, or Boxing Day, or whenever this goes up. This will be the final podcast of the year, but I'll be back with brand new episodes in 2024. For now, let's close out the year talking about all the Disney Plus holiday specials that were released this year, and there were a fair amount, more than I expected, and even one that I found completely by chance the night before we recorded, and had to add to our list. As before, Katie Fabrick is joining me to talk about this latest batch of Disney shorts, but these actually run the gamut from Disney to Star Wars to Marvel and beyond. We're talking about the follow-up to that 2022 stop-motion Christmas special, Mickey Saves Christmas, with a mini-series of shorts called Mickey's Christmas Tales. Then we're talking about the show Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures with their recent Life Day special, which is the Star Wars Galaxy's Christmas equivalent holiday. Then we're moving to Marvel with Marvel's What If holiday special, What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. Then we were going to close this out with the Chip 'n Dale Park Life Christmas special, except the night before we recorded, I found the most random Christmas special on Disney Plus, an episode of an Argentinian sitcom called C.H.U.E.C.O, and as soon as I saw the thumbnail, I knew we had to talk about it. Spoiler alert, it stars a giant monkey puppet. Before we get to that though, I just want to say thank you all for listening this year. This is actually the 200th episode of the iHeart Movies podcast. This will also be an episode of the Disney Movie Marathon, of course, but there it's only episode 65, so not quite as momentous. But anyway, here's to the next 200, and also probably hitting 100 on the Disney Movie Marathon next year. So we'll see you in 2024. Until then, let's talk Mickey Mouse, Chip 'n Dale, Star Wars, Marvel, and a giant Argentinian chimpanzee. Okay, let's get the worst one out of the way first. Mickey's Christmas Tales.
Yeah, like they're fine, but they're just they're like YouTube shorts basically.
Basically,
And there's no substance to them really.
no, none whatsoever. Which is kind of what I figured. I was
hmm
hoping to be pleasantly surprised, but it was pretty much exactly what I figured it would be, having seen last year's stop motion special. This is kind of like a sequel to that, I guess, but I'm kind of glad they didn't go for the full length sequel because I don't know that I would have wanted a full length sequel of that. Five tiny 2 to 3 minute shorts are just plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really isn't much to these. The first one is about a little girl named Bitsy visiting Goofy Claus, and her only wish is for a giant tree with a star on top.
Because she's so filled with Christmas joy or something. I always find it funny when you have like the kids and they're just like, "All I wish for is to see a Christmas tree." You're like, "Don't lie. You're a child."
Exactly.
And that's perfectly fine. But I mean, like, not even an adult just wants to see a perfect Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Like, you clearly are just trying to be cute, little tiny child. So just, cut to the chase. And you could say, obviously, Goofy's not going to, he can barely handle putting a star on a tree. So I don't know, maybe she was just trying to, she was like, if anything, he could at least put a star on a tree, right?
I like this theory. It makes the most sense. The rest of the short is them realizing the star for the big tree is lost, and then they've got to find it and put it back on. Hijinks ensue, whatever.
I think a thing that these Mickey shorts are missing that the Paul Reddish or even like Looney Tunes and stuff have is that when the hijinks ensue, they're interesting,
Uh-huh.
but these ones just really aren't.
Yeah. I would say the next one is the closest they come. The How to Build a Snowman one, which is supposed to be in the tradition of Goofy's How to Ride a Horse cartoon and the sequels
hmm
that spawn from that. It's not as good as those,
No.
but I mean it came closer than any of the rest of these to being actually funny. So
Yeah.
basically he's trying to build snowman. He's getting sabotaged by tiny woodland creatures, which was amusing enough.
Yeah.
And then the third one is Minnie making cookies and she has to keep hiding them from Donald so that he doesn't eat them before dinner. Okay.
Like I feel like that one could have been a bit funnier
It could have. It had
because like
potential.
Donald's hilarious. We
Yeah.
all love Donald. He's so
Yes.
funny. And the fact that he's just like, I'm gonna get those cookies. Like it would be quite funny, but it was a little bit like, nope, Minnie's just gonna stick the cookies under a tree outside. And you're like, okay. I did like where you see him peeking through the window and then you just get like this close-up shot of his eyes. He's like, we'll see about that. Like I was
Yeah,
like,
that was
okay,
a good shot.
that was a good shot.
Yeah.
I'll take what I am given, and what I'm given is this one close-up of Donald's little plasticky eyeballs.
Yeah. And then the next one follows the two reindeer from the previous Christmas special, Jingle and Jolly, who accidentally damaged Santa's sleigh, but Mrs. Claus already had a new one for him for Christmas. And then for some reason, this sleigh has a self-destruct mode. And I'm like, why?
Again, this could be funny, but like it just kind of is all flatly delivered.
Yeah. And also the two reindeer make monkey noises, and that disturbed me.
My Christmas monkeys.
I don't know that it was supposed to be monkey noises, but it sounded like somebody was just going through an audio library and picked out
Yeah.
monkey noises.
Yeah, they're just like, well, this is an animal, so it works.
Just an animal. And then the last one is everybody's trying to stay up late and surprise Santa. And then everybody falls asleep except Pluto.
Well, Pluto falls asleep.
Well,
He
yeah, he
he had
wakes up in time
yeah,
to surprise
he
Santa.
had the strats. Like he was playing like 3D chess. He's like, I can sleep and get to see Santa.
Yeah, that one had probably the least amount of substance.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Mickey's Christmas Tales. I kind of hope that's the end of that series.
Yeah, it's like the very childish Mickey series is like Clubhouse, and now
Yeah.
the new one that I don't remember what it's called because I don't have siblings young enough that they want to
There's one
watch
that's like
that.
racing, like the Roadsters or
Yeah, they
something.
have like the Roadster Racers. I think they have something else that he's got like a treehouse now or something. But
Oh, he upgraded from the clubhouse, I see.
yeah, I don't know. But I just feel like I guess even worse than those for the me is these though in a way just because they're so short that there's no substance at all. It doesn't
Yeah.
even like follow a formula that you're like, okay, a
Hmm.
bad things happens and Mickey has to use a screwdriver to save them or something.
Hmm.
Like there's just nothing happens. So like they're not bad because there's nothing to it to be bad. They're
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah.
And like I like the idea of a stop motion Mickey Mouse series, but maybe a bit more substance would be nice.
Yeah. Something not targeted only at little kids, something that could be for all ages.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can move on to another minor disappointment for me. I mean, not again, I didn't expect much. This is an
Hmm.
episode from Young Jedi Adventures, the Life Day episode, which have you seen the Star Wars Holiday Special?
I have not. It's
Okay,
like
you don't
it's
need to,
no,
but
I don't think I need to for this, but like I know bits about it, and it
yeah.
is eventually a thing I want to get to because I love watching bad movies like that. So I will get to it one day, but
Yeah. I mean, it's worth watching once. And for me, it was worth watching because Nikki Trivial Theater and I did a podcast on
mhm.
it, and it was so much more fun talking about it afterwards than it
Yeah,
was watching the thing.
yeah. It's like one of those things I want to like do the Mystery Science Theater too,
Oh
but I
yeah.
have to like get a bunch of people together and watch it. Is
Hmm.
that be the hard part right there?
I think the worst thing about the Star Wars Holiday Special isn't the fact that it's like dumb,
Hmm.
because a lot of it is very dumb, but a lot of it is still, I don't want to say bad good. Like some of it is bad good. A
Hmm.
couple little bits I would say are almost good. But for
Yeah.
the most part, a lot of it is kind of boring
Oh, though
and not in a funny way.
that's always the worst kind of movies. When they're not
Yeah.
fun, they're boring.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that this Young Jedi Adventures was that, because it wasn't. It was better than most of the Star Wars Holiday Special. but it also was very clearly aimed at little kids, which I did know going
Yes.
in. It's a like a preschooler type show. So I wasn't expecting this to be for all ages, and I was probably about as bored as I figured I probably would be.
But on the one hand, I hold to you Wookiees that we don't get enough of.
Yeah,
I love Wookiees.
yeah,
And we got so many little Wookiees running around. I was whilst I like it was a kid thing, but like I was like, you know what? I'm watching Wookiees running around. That kind of
yeah.
makes me happy.
The animation and character design are great on this show.
Yes.
It's just the story is
Yeah.
lacking from an adult's perspective.
I
It's
did
it's not what I would
appreciate
want for a
yeah.
yeah.
I did appreciate that they had short stories.
Yes.
Like they weren't trying to make the one story drag on. Like I appreciate that they understood their story didn't have a lot to it, so they allowed it to be broken up into different short stories.
Yeah. This really didn't need to be more than like 10 minutes, and that's all it was. So,
Yeah.
in that respect, I'm totally fine with that. If they had tried to stretch it out to fill a whole half-hour episode,
Yeah.
that would have been too much. I would have been so bored.
Exactly. Like I could see like, if you have like a 4 or 5 year old, like they would really enjoy this because they
Hmm.
don't have to they still get that like Star Wars experience, but you don't have to like try to remember all the complexity of Star Wars. Like, oh, this one's Dantooine and this one's Tatooine and this one's Cantooine, and you're like, what? Like I do remember growing up watching Star Wars, like some things just I just came to an acceptance that I don't understand that and that's okay because I get to see cool robots fight
Yeah.
uh Jedis and the backflips and all that. But like if like the kids want to actually understand a story going on, like I think this is a cute little show for kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. I probably won't watch it for myself
Hmm.
because I had thought about looking into it more because I love Star Wars creatures and I
Yeah.
saw that there was going to be some cute, cool creatures included, but I don't have time to watch the stuff I want to watch, so I
Yeah.
don't think I'll ever get to this one. But for this special basically takes the end of the Star Wars special where they like actually do the ceremony with these orb things. Like, I don't really understand exactly what was going on at the end of the Star Wars Holiday Special because it was a lot more, I don't know, celestial, psychedelic. It looked like they were flying through space and like it was weird. And this was like a more down to earth version of that where everybody brings their orbs to the tree and hangs them on the tree to remember their family.
Yeah.
And the drama of this episode was that one of the visiting little Jedi kids loses the orb of one of the young Wookiees, and then she has to go chase it down and accidentally breaks it. And then in the end they learn that the orbs are important, but they're not the true meaning of life.
Yeah. I will say, so she drops the orb and it rolls off, and I'm like, just use the force. Grab it with the force. Grab it with the
That's
force.
true. I mean, those kids seem to have pretty complex force powers. Like the when
Yeah,
she fell
like
off of that thing, the other boy saved her
mhm.
by force lifting the thing that was falling.
Yeah, and like I think the idea is that they're not like they haven't perfected it yet, so they can't
Yeah,
just grab things willy-nilly, but I feel like maybe grabbing a ball isn't that hard.
you wouldn't think so, but I don't know. I'm not a young Jedi, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, for what it was fine. It was cute.
Yeah. No, definitely. Not much, but again, I think like this one had enough hijinks that it wasn't the most boring thing.
Hmm.
It was fine.
Yeah,
10 out of 10 little kid show though.
yeah. If this would be one that I don't think I would mind sitting down to watch with a little kid. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be fully engaged, but I wouldn't be bored out of my skull like some of the other little kid shows I've
Yeah, or
seen.
you're like, why when there's so many good things out there are you watching Peppa Pig?
I don't
Like
think I've
I
ever seen a full Peppa Pig episode.
oh, you're lucky. I have a nephew. He's banned from Peppa Pig. Like his parents are like, do not show him Peppa Pig. We will not have Peppa Pig in our house. But he loves Blippi, and I hate Blippi. No offense to Blippi. I'm just like out of all the things you can watch. Why are you watching Blippi?
Well, I guess let's talk about the Marvel's What If holiday special. What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas?
Okay.
This wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Like I the trailer for this, watch that. Don't watch this because the trailer like it has smash cuts to like holiday music. You get to see the actual enjoyable parts of this in the trailer, like you get to see Tony Stark in a Santa outfit. And then that's basically and then you're gonna see Thor in a Santa hat. Like I haven't seen any of What If, mainly because whenever I looked at like what the episodes were going to be about, I was kind of like, what if like one was like, what if T'Challa was Star Lord? So instead of Peter Quill, it was T'Challa, and I'm like, how much would that change? Because like if he's raised in the same situation that Peter Quill was, yes, obviously you have your own personality, but what much changes? Like
Hmm.
it just kind of was like it seemed like very little substance were in these like what if things most of the
Yeah.
time. And then I'm like, what if Christmas, a Christmas special? I was like, okay, well, it's about Happy Hogan, and I'm gonna be real here. I liked Happy Hogan in the first few things he showed up in, but he quickly got to a point where he just was there because it's like, look, it's Happy Hogan. You're like, you're like, oh dear, like, okay, here we go again. It's the same kind of jokes and the same kind of humor. So I was like, okay, but this is a Marvel Christmas special, and I love Marvel Christmas specials. I love Hawkeye. It's so good, like the show. I've read a lot of Marvel holiday specials
Hmm.
and like comics and stuff. And they're always so much fun. There's one where like the character Gwenpool has to go find Santa because he's decided he wants to retire, so he basically wrote himself out of Christmas. And like a supervillain is now instead like has taken his place. So like it's she's just like, what's going on? Oh, who was it? Galactus. That's who it was. Like they were like, "Oh, look, it's the great Galactus. He's come to give us gifts." And she's like, "Wait, what's going on here?" And it's so funny. Like she like basically ends up hiking all the way to the North Pole and like shouting at Santa about responsibilities and stuff and how she's ruining everybody and like all these holidays are getting smashed together because he's destroyed not only Christmas but like every holiday now. So it's quite funny. And so I was like, okay, I'm all in for a Marvel Christmas thing. But this one was, again, it didn't have much substance. And I argue that Happy Hogan didn't save Christmas. He just saved their office party. And he barely did that.
Pretty much. Well, when I first heard about this and saw like the basic synopsis, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be like a Die Hard spoof, but with Happy Hogan. And like,
Mm,
technically I haven't seen Die Hard, so maybe there was some of that going on in this. But from what I have seen of Die Hard, this is not, this was not that. Happy Hogan turned into some sort of a purple goblin. And I
yeah.
was like, what? What on earth?
But but no, you don't get it. It's funny because he's purple goblin. Like I felt like that's what all the jokes were. It's like, no, it's funny because Christmas pun. And I don't know, I feel like the Christmas puns, I'm all for a good Christmas pun, but I felt like the Christmas puns reached a level that I was like, all right, stop with the Christmas puns.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Like Darcy is probably one of my favorite Marvel characters in the movies,
Mm.
but I don't think she was used to very great effect in this special.
It's funny because she's still in college. Because she's dumb. Do you get the joke?
Well,
Do
I
you
was
get the
thinking, I
joke?
thought maybe this was like supposed to be set back like several years ago.
I thought that too, but then like she's like, I've been in college for the better like
Oh
for the
yeah, I guess there
decade.
was that
And you're
line.
like, okay, I'm so confused. I mean, I guess it's a different universe, is kind of the whole idea of what ifs.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked her better in other things. Like she was
Yeah.
probably the best part of this, but that's not really saying much.
What did you think of Justin Hammer? Wasn't he funny?
I haven't seen Iron Man 2 in forever. I had to look up which movie he was from.
I know. I was like, okay, I know this is an Iron Man villain. Which one was it? I'm like, because I haven't seen three, which I need to, because I have a lot of people like it's very torn if people think it's good or not. But a lot of
Hmm.
people that I share the same, like we share a lot of the same movies we like, they say it's really good. So I haven't yet to see that one, which I need to. So I was like, is he from that? And I'm like, oh no, he's from Iron Man 2. And I'm like, oh yeah, and like my least favorite thing about Iron Man 2 is the villains just aren't great. They're okay, but they're not great. I remember them being a bit obnoxious. And oh boy, they obnoxious in this one.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about what even Iron Man 2 was about, so I did not remember Justin Hammer.
Yeah. That's because he's not very good.
Yeah, it was pretty boring for what it was. I was
Yeah.
rather disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't have my hopes up too high, but I guess I had my hopes up too high somehow. Still. That I was watching I was just like, it's Christmas, it'd be fun.
Yeah, I expected more. And I
Yeah.
think my favorite part of this probably was the Christmas music put into the soundtrack, but even
Mm-hmm.
that did wasn't enough to save it from being kind of meh.
Yeah. I think probably the joke I said, okay, I like that joke, was when Happy Hogan calls Bruce Banner and he's for some reason arguing with Hawkeye over the last Iron Man toy. I don't know why Bruce Banner wanted it, but like I think that would have been fun if they maybe went with that joke a little bit more. Like maybe Hawkeye's like, no, I need this for my kids. Why do you even need it? And he's like, for my collection or something. But I think they could have maybe made that joke a bit funnier. But in the background, there's like the whole empty shelf of Iron Man, and then on the next shelf is an entire shelf full of Hawkeye, and it like says like 85% off.
I
And
missed
I
that
thought,
part.
yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, ha, because no one wants to buy Hawkeye action figures. That's a bit fun.
I'm like 90% sure that that was supposed to be a joke about Jingle All the Way.
I guess so, yeah. But like, if you're gonna make a reference to it, like, make it funnier.
They could have, I think the whole special could have been better if it would have been a spoof of Jingle All the
Yeah,
Way.
that would have been fun. Like all the superheroes are all racing to get this one action figure, and they all have different reasons why. Yeah, that would have been so much fun. I want that. Now I'm upset. Like Happy Hogan has to get the last Iron Man action figure, and he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger in this situation. And he's like, "This is oh wow, I hope I can handle getting you an action figure. This is a lot. I'm way overqualified for this job." But then it ends up being really hard because he has to fight off Hulk and Spider Man and Thor, and yeah, that would have been so much fun. Boo. Okay, season three, I guess. Make that happen.
It would be nice if they would try and do another Christmas special, but actually do something good. Like
Yeah.
whatever the story was that you were talking about with Gwenpool, that would be a great one to adapt.
Yeah. I mean, like, I love Gwenpool. She's like one of my favorite superheroes. So like I feel like when you have this animation and it's not technically tied to the cinematic universe
Hmm.
because it's all, different universes. So like I think you could explore more characters than just the ones that are in the movies.
Hmm.
Like I think that would be fun. Like I think they made a Howard the Duck one and technically he's in the movies, but like that's more interesting to me than this, I feel like. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather go watch the Howard the Duck Christmas special. I would have watched that. I don't know what would happen. I'm not a expert on Howard the Duck, but I don't know. It's like a character we haven't seen before. Like I think in this, like it was just characters and they didn't really break out of anything that we haven't seen before.
Hmm.
It makes me think of those Lego specials.
I haven't watched
Marvel,
them, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah. But the thing I like about those, because I actually find some of those quite hilarious, is they have that Lego humor. It's not the Marvel humor,
Hmm.
where you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, picking out quippy jokes. Like, you guys can see me, can't you? I was like, oh my gosh, not again. Could you come up with it?
Yeah, that one was old after the first instance.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, that's not funny, but I'll allow the first time, and then it's like, more, you're gonna do it again. But it has that Lego humor. Like there's a part where Iron Man punches someone with his fist like shoots off because he's a Lego, and he punches someone, and then someone's like, "Look, it's Iron Fist," and you're like, "That's a funny joke," because it's and you're like, that's a funny joke. And it's like, it requires, I guess, a little bit of knowledge because you don't know who Iron Fist is, then you wouldn't get the joke. But I think just like Lego has a specific sense of humor
Hmm.
that's different. So, like, it works. I did find it funny because in this special, they had original voice actors come back. Like,
Hmm.
well, like the actors, like you have Chris Hemsworth, Jeremy Renner, and all that. But what was funny is that Tony Stark was voiced by his animated voice actor. Like, they didn't get Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So it was just funny because I'm like, he sounds so like a cartoon character that these other people sound like live action.
Yeah, I feel like his voice is close, but it's still you can tell it's not him.
Yeah.
And Black Widow, she's voiced by Lake Bell.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like the most places I've heard Lake Bell is the Harley Quinn series because she's Poison
Yeah.
Ivy. So
Okay.
to me, it's very strange hearing Poison Ivy's voice coming out of Black Widow.
Yeah.
They do a good enough job, and I think if you can't get the original voice actors, I think they found decent voice matches for
Yeah.
them.
No, I think they all work. It was just it like having half and half was such a clash
It is, it is.
because, the voice actors, that's their job. They've been doing it for years, and then you have actors who they just don't voice act as often. So you're like, please enunciate a bit more. Like I don't have facial expression as much to tell what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think of the animation of the What If series?
I'm torn because I think it can be good if they were allowed. So the animation studio is Flying Bark Studios, who do Moon Girl, The
Oh,
Rise
it's
of
the
the
same
Ninja
studio as Moon
Turtles.
Girl?
Yeah, it's crazy that like they have their 3D branch to them.
Mm,
And so it's quite crazy that's the same animation studio. And I believe that they could really create a snappy, awesome art style with this, but
hmm.
they're a little restricted into trying to make them move like real people.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're trying to make it look a little too realistic in the movement department. And if they were allowed to do their really fast, cool, snappy stuff, I think that I would enjoy it a bit more. But I
I
don't
think that
hate
really
the
would
art
help.
style.
Yeah. No, the art style is fine, but it doesn't draw me in like other animated series. It's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of I don't want to say it's boring, but it's just the thing that it needs to be to get the series done, I guess.
Yeah, it's very minimal movement, not a lot of personalities coming through,
Yeah.
body language, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
It kind of all rides on you knowing who these characters are if because you've seen the movies.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed the What If series enough, but I have to say it's probably been a year since I've watched the first season, and I don't remember a whole lot of it. So I don't know if that's a problem with me or a problem with the series. I feel like if it was a little bit better, it would have stuck with me more.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it was fine. I mean, I enjoyed watching them while I was watching them, but it wasn't one that I felt the need to revisit at all.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that this would be, but I guess not.
Yeah, Christmas specials are fun, and I just feel like this one didn't go far enough. Like
Yeah.
it should have leaned a bit more into wacky Marvel hijinks.
Well, it seems like they tried by turning Happy Hogan into a purple goblin creature man. I don't know what he was supposed to be. I don't, was that like an actual thing for the comics, or did they just go, well, let's
I
inject
have
him with Hulk
yeah,
blood and turn him into a blob? He
I have
actually
no idea.
he reminded me of there's a I have not seen this. This is something that I've seen reviewed on Trivial Theater's channel. There's a movie called The Incredible Bulk, which is
Hmm.
a spoof of The Incredible Hulk, and it's one of the worst movies ever made. It's not funny at all. It's like it's I would just say watch her video to get to understand what it is. I don't think the movie is worth watching, but this thing that he turned into reminded me of the Incredible Bulk. It probably was better animated than the Incredible Bulk, but just the fact that
Yeah.
he's a big purple Hulk-like creature. It was like
Yeah,
I thought maybe they were doing a reference to that, but also why would they reference that? I don't know.
I don't know. My tip for the watcher is get a better favorite Christmas story. Like if the watcher told me this story every year, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, get some new material, please."
I think he's been watching the wrong universe. He needs to watch the universe that you were reading about with
Yeah.
Gwenpool.
Like just I don't know, like I feel like most of their Christmas specials they really let loose.
Uh-huh.
Like in that Gwenpool story because it's like a collection. There's one where it was the Punisher and like the holidays are getting messed up. So people start like there's like a underwear tradition where you have to wear like your best holiday underwear or something. And it sounds so dumb, but the way they did it, they like played it completely straight with like the Punisher. And you're like, what is going on? This is unbelievable. And it's quite hilarious, actually. And then like there's one where they tell the Red Skull that he needs to start being more upbeat and like kind. And they're like, we can't say Hail Hydra anymore. We have to like say like Hail Evil or something so we can include all the rest of the organization so they don't feel like and he's getting so mad about that. Like it's quite funny. And I'm like, so with all these crazy holiday stories that you get, it's like this one was very subdued and just like not as good when they could have
Hmm.
gone really crazy.
Yeah.
So I would recommend read the Gwenpool special if you can get your hands on it. And I guess watch this if you just want to hear some pretty fun music.
Yeah.
If you really like Happy Hogan, then I guess you can like this. Like Happy Hogan's fine.
I always keep wanting to call him Hulk Hogan, and then he was actually called Hulk Hogan in this episode. Maybe that was the whole point of turning him into the purple monster. Just so they
Maybe.
could call him Hulk Hogan.
They're just like, that's a funny joke. And you're like,
That's
is
a
it?
funny joke. Let's build an entire Christmas special around it.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it was okay for what it was, but it was kind of disappointing because it just wasn't as good as I was hoping.
Yeah.
I would think that most people who are big fans of What If would enjoy it because
Hmm.
it is very different than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is weird, but it just wasn't my favorite flavor of weird, I guess.
Yeah. It wasn't weird enough.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to probably my favorite of all of these Christmas specials, the one from Chippendale Park Life.
Hmm.
Have you watched Chippendale Park Life before?
No, this was my first experience with it.
Okay, I've seen a bunch of episodes because my nephews love this show,
Hmm.
and it's actually very funny. It's worth watching. It's not as good as like the Paul Rudish cartoons, but it's in that same Looney Tunes-esque style in that it's more wacky than sweet.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy and hilarious. And this Christmas special was no exception.
Hmm.
And also, this was split into three cartoons, which was nice, so they didn't have to stretch one story out over a half hour. Because I did wonder
Yeah.
about that. I was like, how much story can the Chippendale Park Life do in a half an hour? Because they work best as short cartoons. I don't think there's any that are a half hour. I think there's all at least two, if not three, in every episode.
Hmm.
So I think they did well splitting it into three.
Yeah.
The first one is a cartoon called The Big Sock, which is where they learn about the tradition of stockings, and then they end up getting a sock out of a garbage truck. And then they end up at Donald's house, and I'm behind in the show, so maybe Donald has appeared before this. This is my first experience seeing Donald on Chippendale Park Life. Normally it's just about Chippendale and sometimes Pluto. So it was nice to see more characters in the show.
Uh-huh.
This Donald had a little bit of a different design. I think this is a French cartoon. I think it's made by a French studio. So I noticed some little things in this that was just like, oh yeah, this is European, not American. Especially like in the end scene with Donald serving the dinner and they have that log cake. That's like a European Christmas
Yeah.
tradition. I've never seen that in America.
Oh, really?
Maybe
I,
elsewhere, not in the
no,
Midwest anyway.
no, I've just seen it in movies. Like we don't that I was just like, oh yeah, people just do that. It's just a tradition. But I didn't know if that was. I didn't realize that was a European thing.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not sure what it's called. I know it's like I think it's supposed to be based on the Yule log. Let me look up Yule log cake and see
Yeah,
what comes
it's
up.
a Yule log cake.
A Yule log is a traditional Christmas cake often served as dessert near Christmas, especially in France, which is where the cartoon is animated,
Uh-huh.
Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Vietnam, and Quebec. Hmm.
Huh.
It says variants are served in the United States and United Kingdom, so I suppose it could be served somewhere in the US. I've just never seen them.
Yeah, I think I've had a few, but I've lived in a strange community growing up, so I would not be surprised that it's not an American thing. So, hey, you learn something new every day.
But yeah, that one was pretty funny. I love the reactions in this and the
Mm-hmm.
way they deal with things and the random things that happen, like them having a Christmas party in the garbage truck with a pigeon and a rat.
Yeah.
And then the second one is Hark the Squirrel Sings. And this one, there's a character who was in at one episode that I've seen. Maybe he's become a more recurring character because I think I've only seen like half of the first season. Because at one point, my nephews and I watched all the episodes that were available. And then I don't
Mm-hmm.
think we've been able to finish the rest since they released more. But there's this character in one episode. I don't know if he's supposed to be like the Godfather or just a generic mobster squirrel who basically used Chip and Dale as slaves for a while. Like he tricked them into he like gave them nuts in return for them doing things for him, and then they wanted so many nuts they just became his slaves basically. He's like an evil mobster squirrel. So they have him back, and he's seeing this little bird trio get given gifts while they're caroling, and he decides that he wants in on this scheme. And he's going around with this, I don't know what it is, like a robotic quartet. Like I don't know what they're supposed to be. At the end it ends up blowing up and it's like balloons. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. He's using fake carolers basically to try and get money. And I think Chip is the only one who's able to see through this ruse, and Dale ends up joining him for a while. This is probably my least favorite of these three, but it was still funny. I don't really like that mobster squirrel character, but he was fine because he wasn't really there a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That one didn't really have an ending either. Like it was like, oh, it's the mobster squirrel. Oh, it's popped and now they're all being chased. The end. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. It's over. Okay.
And then the last one is the Christmas roast. This one confused me. Like it was funny, but it confused me because Chip and Dale are having Christmas dinner with this family of moles that I don't recognize. Maybe they were introduced in an episode I haven't seen. And also the mobster squirrel and a worm and a
Hmm.
child mobster squirrel, I think. Maybe they're married. I don't know what they are. But and then also the character Clarice, who she was one that I didn't even recognize. She was apparently only ever in one Chippendale cartoon in the original theatrical shorts, but she apparently became very popular in the parks, and since she's been included in like video games, like mobile games,
Okay.
so they brought her in to the Chippendale Park Life show. And this is her biggest role in anything that she's ever had. But I thought they were friends. But then in this episode, they hate each other. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like they just want some drama. So they invented this backstory to give them drama, and now they hate each other.
Well, yeah, I think they hate each other because she throws the game to make the moles win, but Chip didn't know she was throwing the game, so he won the game and he was happy, and she got mad at him for not throwing the game, and then he got mad at her for trying to throw the game.
Hmm.
Because, like, you get a flashback, and I don't know if they just hate each other all the time or if it was just this.
It's probably just this because I think that they've been friends in other episodes.
Yeah. I will say that like I was a bit lost sometimes in these, but like to be fair, I'm watching like the last episode of season two, so
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think this is a show where you necessarily need to have seen everything else. Because, like, I'm missing, I would say, probably two-thirds of the show. I think I've seen like maybe the first half of the first season, if that. But even with not having seen a bunch of them, I guess I got the gist enough. I was mostly just confused about why Chip and Clarice hated each other now. But I guess it's probably just for this cartoon because of the game thing. But yeah, my favorite of these was the big sock. I thought that one was hilarious, and I enjoyed seeing Donald and his nephews, and even Mickey and Minnie
Yeah.
briefly, which was cute. I liked their design. I like that they're slightly different. They're not trying to make them exactly like the other designs in other shows.
Yeah. They fit within the art style and they were really cute.
Yeah. Well, then that was going to be all that we were going to be talking about today. But then when I got on last night to watch the rest of the shows, I found another one that just seemed to have just randomly dropped on Disney Plus with no fanfare, no announcement. I, this the show or the special is called C.H.U.E.C.O's Christmas, and it's about a talking chimp puppet who lives with a human family. It's like an Argentinian sitcom that I have never heard of.
You know what's funny is like once you showed that to me and I started watching, I'm like, wait, I've seen a trailer for the show, and I was like, har har, that gotta watch it because like I love monkeys and chimps and all that. So I was like, I'm gonna like, haha, I may not like sitcoms, but I'm gonna watch this one because it's got a monkey puppet. But then like I completely forgot about it. And then you're just like, hey, look at this. And I'm like, what? Wait. Like,
That
oh
sounds
my
like my reaction to finding the thumbnail on Disney Plus. What?
gosh.
Wait.
Yeah. And yeah, it doesn't make much more sense watching after you've watched it.
I felt like I was watching TV from an alternate dimension.
Yeah.
It was so bizarre. Like, because this is an Argentinian show, they speak Spanish, which
Hmm.
kind of helps make it feel, I don't know, alternate dimension-y. But also
Mm.
the monkey, it's like, and not that I've seen much of it, but it was like Alf. And also I'm wondering if that's purposeful because the title of the show has Chueco spelled with a period after each letter, like Alf, because Alf stands for alien life form. So I'm wondering
Uh-huh.
if Chueco stands for something. I don't know. I don't know much about this show. I couldn't find a whole lot of information. I found it on IMDb, and the description on IMDb says a widower and father of three is on the verge of ruin, but he inherits an unexpected fortune from his uncle. But the money comes with one condition, that his family take care of Chueco, an adult chimpanzee who hides a huge secret. He can talk. Hiding this won't be easy because the chimpanzee never shuts up and will get the family in all sorts of trouble.
It's not much of a secret if he literally can't shut up, but
Yeah. But then this special, I'm guessing, takes place after the first season because it looks like one season of this show is out. And apparently that's on Disney Plus too. I had never seen it before, but it popped up as recommended after I watched this special.
hmm.
But I'm guessing this takes place after he's like fully solidified his place in this family. Everybody has accepted him. And now he discovers that this family does not celebrate Christmas. They had something tragic happen in the past. I'm guessing it wasn't fully explained, and I think it's probably one of those things where I would have needed to see the show to get everything. But I
Yeah.
think because the description on IMDb says that he's a widower, I think that the mom is actually his new wife. And the kids that it was their mom who died that they are referencing as the reason that they don't celebrate Christmas because they were too sad after she passed away and they've just like forbidden Christmas now.
Yeah, I definitely the mom of the kids has passed.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure how the cook chef girl, like, was she like married to them, or was she just like a, she almost gave
Oh,
me like, I'm just a house hand kind
maybe
of.
she was. I thought she was maybe his new wife. But like I only watched this once and it was hard to like try and pay attention to what's going on the screen and read the
Oh,
subtitles
okay.
at the same time. So maybe they're not married. I don't know.
So the description on Disney Plus calls Amanda the housekeeper, cook, and quote unquote mother for the children. So she's like a
Okay.
nanny, housekeeper, cook kind of character.
Okay. That makes sense.
Also, the episode descriptions are bizarre. Like this Christmas episode I think was tame
Really?
because there's an episode where he invokes the spirit of the uncle while playing with a Ouija board. Or he teaches the dad the noble art of poker and deceit. Like,
Part of me wants to watch more of this show.
he turns into Dr. Apius, the manager for a rock band. What does that even mean?
I feel like, and the poster that I found has Disney branded on it. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if this is supposed to be like in the spirit of like other Disney Channel sitcoms where it's like a
Mm-hmm.
normal family, but something's wacky.
Yeah.
So I maybe this is just par for the course for this kind of a show. Like I was thinking maybe this was like a regular sitcom, but maybe this is supposed to be like a Disney Channel type thing.
Yeah, it does have like Disney Channel feel for the limited amount of Disney Channel sitcoms I watched. It does kind of feel like that. But it's infinitely better because it has a chimpanzee with green eyebrows.
Yeah, I have to say, for as weird as this was, I was not bored with this. I actually enjoyed watching it. It was not terrible. I would have loved this as a kid, actually.
Yeah, it's like I think I was talking to one of my siblings about it before recording, and I'm like, it's like if Zaboomafoo was a sitcom.
And also, Zaboomafoo made minor references to getting drunk because he
Yeah.
was talking about whiskey at some point. It's like, okay, I don't think that would fly on American Disney Channel. But yeah, basically the gist of this special is this monkey is trying to get Christmas back into this family. And the only one who is on his side for a while is, I guess, the housekeeper. I thought it was the wife, but maybe not. She's the only one who's with him in this. And then they find out later that the kids actually want Christmas to come back. They just don't say it because of the dad. The dad is too sad. But then at the end, the dad like turns on a dime and he's like so happy to celebrate Christmas now.
Yeah, like he's writing Christmas songs about how Christmas is the worst thing in the world. And then he just turns on a dime. He's like, Christmas is the greatest thing on earth.
Yeah. One random thing that I liked about this special was the sweaters. The monkey
Yeah,
knits them all ugly sweaters. And
he tries.
I thought they were like hilariously bad. I really liked the evil looking duck on the one kid's shirt. Whatever that thing was. But also, they actually had him knit correctly. Like they didn't like intricately show his fingers moving, but he held the knitting needles in the correct position. Normally in
Yeah,
shows, they have the knitting needles upwards, like the tops are
yeah.
pointing upwards, and that's not how
Uh-huh.
you knit. They have to point
No.
down.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of nice. They actually showed it.
Someone knew how to knit. It was not the monkey, but somebody knew how to.
Yes, yes.
At least he has proper form.
Yeah. Yeah, that was such a random discovery that I'm glad I found it though, because I thought it was a hilarious addition to this
Yeah.
podcast.
Like it might have been my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, because it was just so random.
It could be mine too, just the experience of discovering it and watching this thing and feeling like I'm watching TV
Yeah.
from an alternate dimension. It was so random, so weird.
Yeah. And it has a monkey, and none of the other ones had that, so
Except for the little reindeer who made
yeah,
monkey
I was gonna say
noises.
monkey noises don't count. Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
If monkeys were pulling Santa's sleigh, then we could have a conversation. But they were reindeers who were just making monkey noises, which does not count.
Yeah, that should be like a thing. Like there should be some sort of a weird Christmas special with monkeys pulling a sleigh.
Yes, please.
Gorillas wearing fake reindeer antlers.
Yes. Big muscle bound gorillas, and they're just like, here we go. They're just galloping. A very monkey Christmas. Everyone's inexplicably monkeys. There's except for like the children, and nothing, no one questions it. So you're like, am I the weird one?
This sounds
What
like
is
something
going
that
on?
they could do, like if DC ever did a what if type series,
Yes, with
because
all their
there's so many
gorillas.
gorillas in DC Comics.
That like not to go too much on a tangent, but that reminds me that DC just announced a comic book like It's called April Fools. And it's got all their like apes and monkey characters, and they're all like going on an adventure together. And I'm like, yes, this was made for me. I'm so excited. April can't come soon enough. It's got Detective Chimp. It's got Gorilla Grodd. It's got all of our fun, lovable apes. I'm so excited.
Are there any monkeys or apes in Marvel?
There are less. There is, oh gosh, what's his name? I think his name's like Gorilla Man or something. Hang on.
That doesn't sound as good as Gorilla Grodd. It's
Uh
Gorilla Man. It's just a man, but he's wearing a gorilla
yeah.
mask.
Yeah, no, he is Gorilla Man. I think his blood gets spliced with a gorilla or something.
That doesn't sound quite as entertaining.
Yeah, he does wear like a button-down white shirt. So I do
Okay,
love
you're
that.
raising the entertainment levels a little bit. This does sound better.
Like I love that he wears just this button down and I'm like it's just a gorilla. He looks just like a gorilla. So like it's just
And
a
he's not a
gorilla in a button
superhero,
down.
he's just an accountant.
And then I think he likes oh I'm sorry, he transplants hang on, what? It's been a while. Like he does not circulate as much.
Well, I've never heard of him, so obviously.
Right? Like he decides he's like an army soldier and he's super like happy-go-lucky is how they describe him. And
This must have
he
been made in like the 60s.
yes, it was very it's older. But so he decides to go to Africa because he heals of a local legend where if you kill the magical gorilla man, you become immortal. But the fact is that if you kill the gorilla man, you become the next gorilla man.
Is this where they got the idea for the Santa Claus?
Someone read Gorilla Man and it's like, no, Gorilla's just too crazy. Let's do this with Santa Claus. Which I say, boo, it shouldn't be Gorilla Man. We should bring Gorilla Man back.
I want Gorilla Claus.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Well, I guess we can close this episode. I actually forgot to tell you, this is episode 200.
Oh, nice.
I've looked, I was putting all my things into my spreadsheet. I was like, wait a minute, this is going to be episode 200? Oh, it's too late to plan something epic. Oh well.
Right, like, what's more epic than a sitcom with a monkey? That's my question. I think Disney Plus blessed you with this sitcom for your 200th episode.
Yes,
They're
it
just like,
was just
wait,
what I needed.
yeah, that's Disney for you, always pulling through.
C.H.U.E.C.O, the whiskey-loving monkey who wants to save Christmas.
And he may not be able to knit, but he has good form.
Yes. I mean, he can sort of knit, just not very well.
I mean, for his first time, like
I mean,
they
the
looked
sweaters
like
actually
sweaters.
looked like sweaters, so
Yeah. As a person who tried to learn how to knit for like 5 years and couldn't get past just making a chain, I'd say that he did quite well. Though he probably cheated because he has four opposable thumbs.
yeah, his line about his hands getting tired, good thing I have two more hands. What actually that was kind of relatable because I do know how to knit and it does tire your hands out, and it would be nice to be able to switch out hands.
Though he
I don't know how to
didn't.
knit sweaters though. I feel like even though he didn't do it well, he's still better than me because he could actually make something shaped like a sweater. I just do scarves and hats.
You guys should team up. I mean, it's a ugly. They're called ugly Christmas sweaters, so like I think he pretty much hit the nail on the head.
I was thinking the other day, it would be hilarious if somebody went to an ugly sweater party, but they actually had something that was truly ugly, like badly made, arms too long, the character, whatever character they wanted to put on it looked horrific, instead of just like a cat in a party hat with trees around him.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've tangented again. We probably better bring the episode to a close. Until next year, do you want to let people know where they can find you if they want more from you?
Yep. You can find me at dcmonkeywiki.com. No, I'm kidding. You can find me at Twitter and Instagram, or X, Twitter X. on Instagram. And at Katie Draws Things, I just recently got to announce I helped collaborate on a comic book where I did some comic book covers, so go check that out if you like comic books and space adventures.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we will see you again probably in a couple months. I think I'll be taking January off, especially after this marathon of podcasts that I've been doing the past week.
A marathon of Christmas joy.
Yes. So until next year.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for listening to the Disney Movie Marathon. If you like what you've heard, make sure to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform or to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow my co-hosts as well, and if you want more content from us, check out one of the other podcasts in the I Heart Movies podcast network, or check out my brand new Patreon. My link tree, as well as any other relevant links, will be in the description. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.